Hi there, welcome to the latest episode of my 10-minute moan. And this one is an absolute belter, right? Before I start, if you want to support the channel, you can become a member or you can subscribe, that's free, or just click a thumbs up when you see one of my videos. So you can do that, that'd be great. Now, this is, the topic is, we found an SNP MSP who actually doesn't know what independence is, right? Because this story is just blown my head. It's just bonkers, right? So, utterly deluded, SNP MSP Emma Roddick claims independence would not end the union, right? The former Scottish Government Equalities Minister insisted that campaigning to stay within the union after breaking up the UK would persuade on-the-fence Scots to vote for Skexit. You're hearing me right here. This is what she said. A recently sacked Scottish Government Minister has been branded utterly delusional after claiming that Skexit would not bring about the end of the union, but she went further than that. Emma Roddick was appointed as Equalities Minister under Humza Yousaf, but her year-long stint ended when John Swinney took over. Now the Highlands MSP has been mocked after proclaiming that breaking up the UK would not mean an end to the relationship between Scotland and England, Wales and Northern Ireland. This is despite a potential hard border being opened up between the country and the rest of the UK if it was then to join the European Union, right? Trade between the four neighbours would be disrupted by Skexit, and Scotland would need to launch its own armed forces and currency and find the money to replace the cash handed over each year by Whitehall to pay for services. Ms Roddick insisted that those against independence may find it palatable and vote yes if a cooperation deal can be reached within the rest of the UK. Speaking to pro-Indie newspaper The National, she claimed that pointing out that the union would remain in place could be key to convince undecideds to vote for independence. She said, "I don't want Scotland to be independent and then act on our own. I want us to be a voice on the world stage and promote international cooperation. It would be daft not to include England, Wales and Ireland, Northern Ireland, in that. I would love to have an independent Scotland, but in some sort of union or cooperation agreement with the rest of what is currently the UK." Right. This makes absolute sense. This is her words. She says this makes absolute sense. But what we have now is not a union. If you look at what we had when we were in the EU, the UK had the same voice as everyone else. Scotland doesn't have that in the UK. If we had the cooperation with the rest of the UK, I would be well up for a union with our closest neighbours. But it is unknown if the UK government would look kindly on its neighbours if independence happened. It was previously claimed that Scotland would not be allowed to use sterling in an independent country, and a trade border would need to be created for goods. Ms Roddick admitted this herself, and she added, "As independence is up to Scotland, it would be of course up to England if they wanted to be in a union with us, but I would personally love that. I think we need to go back to basics on what independence means because it has become such a heightened debate." How can we go back to basics on what independence means when you don't know? It means you go yourself, right? There you go. Cheery bye. Enjoy the rest of your life, right? That's what happens. But no, it's to be in your terms, because you're going to dream up this romantic notion idea where you stick two fingers up to the rest of the UK, but then you decide how you deal with them going forward. You, my lady, are absolutely crackers. What's going on here? You see a lot of folk who are iffy about independence because they love England, or they've got family there, or they've worked there. And that's great that they feel that way about England. I want closer relationships with our neighbours. You've got a relationship with them now, but that's exactly what you don't want. The Scottish Tories labelled Miss Roddick utterly delusional. I kind of agree with them. Spokeswoman for the Constitution, Megan Gallagher, told the Scottish Daily Express, There's no end to the SNP fantasy tales about independence, but Emma Roddick's latest guff is utterly delusional. A hard border with Scotland's nearest neighbours would jeopardise jobs and livelihoods with their largest trading partner, which is the rest of the United Kingdom. While the SNP double down on their fixation with breaking up the UK, the only issue the warring party can agree on, the Scottish Conservatives are focused on public's real priorities like fixing our ailing public services and reducing unacceptable NHS waiting times. I don't believe I've just read that, right? What? So, right, what she's doing is, right, she's saying we'll try and have this sort of middle ground independence now, and that'll maybe attract the middle ground of voters, because there'll be people on the left that are saying, I really want independence at all costs, right? And you get people on the right that say, I really don't want independence at all. And you get a wee wad in the middle, or a big wad in the middle, that are like, I don't know if I want it or not, but you need to sell me the idea. So what this crackpot's thinking is, see these middle ones, right? You'll attract them by telling them lies, right? Because that's what you're doing. But, you know, if you get a sort of, we're in a union, but we're not in a union, then these people will suddenly vote for us, which I think's bonkers, right? Why would they? But let's just say that happens, right? See these ones that just want independence. Why would they vote for an independence that isn't independent? That not only is it an absolute bonkers, pie-in-the-sky theory, right? The theory itself's totally potty, but the justification for using it in the first place is equally as mental. Because if somebody's no sure, right, about independence, and you say, well, we're not going to really have independence, we're just going to call it independence, but we're still going to have this relationship with the rest of the UK, well, you'd be like, why not just stay in the UK then? So, and at the same turn, why would the people, you know, the absolute fanatical ones on independence, why would they want that? So I'm actually, I know you'll find this difficult to believe, but I'm near speechless on this. My wee head's working overtime to try and figure out, you know, just like, what is, this is just completely, I think it's potentially the maddest thing, and this mob's done some mad things, right? But I think this is potentially the maddest thing I've ever heard come out an SNP MSP's mouth. And that's a big shout, because I've heard some shite, right? But this, we'll have independence. It's like, you know, it's like this fallacy on the pensions, where, no, you go, what will happen with the pension going forward? Well, we've all put into the pot. There is no pot for pensions, right? It doesn't work that way. Well, it does with a normal pension. See, if you buy your own, you pay the money into a pot, and they try and invest that and make it bigger, and then when you retire, they give you the money. That's how a normal private pension works. But a state pension doesn't work like that. A state pension works. See everybody that's putting into the pot just now, right? That's not getting put aside for them when they retire. That's getting paid to the people that are retired just now. So if we suddenly tomorrow became independent, who pays the pensioners? Because if they're getting paid out the existing pot, then that would just be the rest of the UK paying into it. That's not entirely fair, is it? And there's this absolute fallacy amongst, you know, the most retarded in our society, who think that they get that pot, there's a big pot, and well, we'll just get our 10% of that, or whatever, you know, the ratio is for the population of Scotland. And it's just mad things like that I go, who falls for this? Who actually falls for it? It's like they wake up every morning and say, what shite can we talk today about independence, right? Remember the thing, I done a whole video on this. One of the papers that they gave, which was trying to tell, you know, one of these white papers to try and tell everybody how independence was going to be fantastic, they actually wrote on this with a straight face. It'd be great because we can get our own Eurovision entry, right? You're like, oh, aye, right, and what? I genuinely, I struggle with them. But this is a belter. Independence would not end the union. What's the point of independence then? Your whole point, I don't really know how to deal with the rest of the UK. And again, for those total mad nutcases out there, right? There was a line in there that I've been telling people for ages, and I don't think the penny drops. The rest of the UK is our biggest landing spot for exports. We sell more produce and things to the rest of the UK than we do the rest of the world, right? But we don't want. Oh, we want to be in a trading partnership with the EU because, like, they're nice them. Are they? Aye, might be, but to say we don't want to be part of the United Kingdom, where that's our biggest, importer of Scottish stuff in the world. No, I don't want that. I genuinely, it's like a parody, innit? It's just becoming like, if you could write a sketch show on, remember they used to have Yes Minister, and then it became Yes Prime Minister, and it was like a parody of the political folk down in Westminster, funnily enough, because that's what it was called. If you do one called Yes Holyrood, I don't think it could be as satirical as reality, right? Some crackpot MSPs woke up this morning and went, aye, we'll break up the union, but it'll not break up the union. What? There would be no United Kingdom at that point, right? That's just the way it is. The UK wouldn't exist anymore because the treaty would be broke, right? But we'll still have a union with them. Oh my God, give me strength, please. I don't know. I mean, it's beyond parody. Do you know what I mean? It is absolutely just mind-blowing. But here's a mad thing. Some of the shite that she spouted today will get spouted by the cult going forward. We can have independence and we'll still be part of the union. We just the bits we like, we'll just take all them out and we'll throw away the bits we don't like Westminster ruling us, because that doesn't happen either. Do you know what I mean? Oh my word. So that'll be implanted. That wee chip will be in here somewhere for some of the maddest cult out there, right? And they'll not even remember where they heard it, but they just heard it. So a year from now, they'll be arguing the point about, it's not, you can have independence, you could still. No, you can't, right? Oh my God. And then, I remember the last time I seen something like this that they've done, where they try to appease folk in the middle ground and all that. Well, we could keep the monarchy. What? And we'll keep it sterling. How does that actually work? That's not even a thing. Who is a person? There was an absolute crackpot SNP, I think she might have been a parliamentarian at one point, who went to Norway or Sweden and stuff, and she's like, we don't even need a currency, because look, I just use a switch card. Like, see when the bill comes in, what currency is it in? Right, she's like, look, this is brilliant, I just use my switch card, and I'm going for Sweden. I've done the route myself. You just go from Copenhagen to Malmo in about half an hour on the bridge. It's utterly fantastic. And she, look, I'm using my card in Sweden, and I don't need cash, and I don't need euro or krona, I can't remember. No, the Sweden don't use the euro, they use some type of krona or something. I remember I had some in my pocket. And then, look how fantastic is that. So we don't need a currency. Well, what does your bill come through in then? Jockaroonies, right? They just keep coming up with utter shite. They just go, right, independence, right? And a year from now, some wee crackpot cult member will be on that Twitter going, aye, but see that independence, right? We could have that and still have, right? And you go, oh, aye, crack that. Aye. What about pensions? I've got one told me, right, on Twitter once, I've got a contract with the UK government about my pension. They look after that money till I'm retiring. What? Seriously? Woohoo! Tell me this. What happens with the pensions? Right? Just and listen to the absolute drivel you get back in response. So utterly deluded, SNP MSP Emma Roddick claims independence would not end the union. I'm trying to even... How does that get into her head? Right? How does that thought even... she's sitting up one night going, we need a cunning plan to entice those middle ground people. They don't particularly... They're not unionists, they just not sure if they want full independence or not. Oh, I know. I'll get them to vote for independence by telling them we want to be independent. What? Right? And somebody let her out the house. Right? She gets allowed to cross the road. That shouldn't be allowed. Right? No, see you. Just sit down, right? And do you know this is how mad it is. Some people voted for her, right? No, they didn't. They voted for her wee Rosette. That was it. If you sat this woman in a room and spoke to her for half an hour and gave her your vote, you need sectioned, right? Because you see, this whole thing, we vote for people to go to Westminster, go to Holyrood, and represent us as, constituents. That's how the whole thing works. But we stopped doing that years and years and decades ago, probably maybe a century ago, I don't know, right? And what we do now is the vast majority of people that vote, they vote for a wee Rosette. It's a shite system, because you end up with crackpots like her. £72,000 a year to go to Holyrood. I can't remember, what constituency was she? So, you know what I mean? So she's there representing thousands of people. Highlands MSP, does that mean she's a regional one? So she's not got a constituency, but thousands of people must have went, there's a list of the MSPs that will go and, what do you call it, represent this region if the SNP wins some regional votes. I don't know, I'm kind of guessing that the Highlands is a region, but it might not be. People might have still voted for her in a constituency. If they were seriously voting for her, they need a good look at themselves, right? You need to go into the bathroom, right? Now, see if you ticked a box with her on it, right? Next to her name. Tick, aye, we'll have her, aye. See if that was you. Going into your bathroom, shut the door, turn the light on, right? In case you're that daft, right? Turn the light on, then shut the door. Lock it, and see the big shiny thing that shows a reflection. It's called a mirror. Have a right good look in it, right? And think to yourself, I voted for this crank. And consider that the next time you've got the privacy of a polling booth and somebody gives you a pencil, hopefully it's not too sharp, right? Maybe a wee blunt one for you. That's what you should do. You walk in the door and you go, how did you vote in the last one? Well, I voted SNP. There's a blunt pencil for you, right? You can't be trusted. I voted for that already last. Did GI. Here. Now be careful with that, right? Seriously. You need to stop. People that want independence need to start thinking, who is it that actually gave the job to try and achieve it? Because it's these idiots. They are proper loopy. All right. Now, so I didn't even think this was going to take 10 minutes, right? Because I thought it's a short story, it's a bang. But it just gets my head going. Every time I do this, I sit down with the maddest stories ever about the SNP, and I sit down to do a wee 5-10 minute video, and it ends up about 37 minutes, right? Because I like to deal, I keep saying this, in common sense and logic. It's how my wee brain works, right? I've not got Einstein's brain in here, I've got big hoosties. So I need to break things down and make common sense, apply common sense and logic, and go, that doesn't make sense, right? That's just bonkers. And it happens all the time with these people, because they are bonkers. I think that Craig's, I'm a bit daft, right? I put my hand up. I do some daft things now and again, right? But I'm no stupid, right? But these folk just, see, know what you should have? A Eurovision for dafties, right? What would you call that? Euro dafty, right? An annual competition for daftness, right? Where all the European countries and even the wee regions like Scotland, right? We've spoken them into getting us a wee shot at it, because we've got some Olympic level dafties, right, in our midst. So every nation that's in Euro dafty gets to send who they think is the daftest in their place, right? And then we can vote on the dafties for Europe, right? I reckon the SNP would probably be able to cope with about 20 years worth of entrance before they came up with somebody that wouldn't have it hands down, right? Just, remember the crackpot for Livingston that was moaning because, oh my God, they moved, right? They moved an office for East Kilbride to Glasgow, and she was up in arms about taking jobs out of Scotland, right? There you are. And Slovakia, who do you give your 12 points to? They're like, oh, Scotland, 100%. That Roddick lassie, I'm up for Inverness. It doesn't, get him, can we get him 15 points of that good? Right? Would win it hands down, be great, right? But would we end up, see Eurovision, it's just like a mad rainbow festival, right? That's something they didn't have this year, a lot of rainbow flags. I wonder if they're doing the same as SNP. They're trying to attract a wider audience and go, stick your rainbow flags, put them under the seat for a couple of years, right? See if we get some non-rainbow people in to watch it. I think that's what's happened there. But they wouldn't even go, right? They'd be like, it's a redneck, innit? You've won it for the last 7 years, right? Euro dafty. Oh, turn the video off, Craig. Finish the video. You drive me insane. Anyway, if you enjoyed the video, thumbs up. If you've not already done so, subscribe. Most importantly of all, unless you're these crackpots like Roddick, right? And that crackpot, the Livingston one that didn't know where East Kilbride and Glasgow were. See that everybody else, right, in the world, right, have a great day. Cheery, bye now.